Do you remember the Lionsgate portal?
Um, was there one?
It happens every year.
Yeah. Do I remember this year's Lionsgate portal?
Do you remember what it is?
Oh.
I don't think you probably paid attention to me a whole lot when you were growing up when I was talking about it every August.
Yeah, well, you still talk about it every August. Um, yeah, I think it's about coming into your heart.
Totally. That's like the cap
That's about, yeah.
on it. That's good. But do you actually know what it is? It's an astronomical and astrological event that happens every year at
Um,
August. It's a gateway.
Interesting. I would assume that it has to do with the sun because this is all revolving around sun and Leo and all of that. Um, I would also assume that every year that this occurs, the sun has a period of increased activity, probably more solar flares and things along that sort of a line.
It can. They are increasing more, definitely, but that actually is not as connected to it. Although, yeah, it would have it.
Okay,
And
well then it would
definitely have an
if
effect.
it's not the sun's activity, then it must be the sun being in alignment with some other planets.
So, what it is in basic science is the sun on August 8th, 8 aligns with the star Sirius in the Sirius star system
Okay.
with Earth. They come into an exact degree of each other and they create a gateway of, yes, you're manifesting very quickly. Really be as conscious as possible. What are you manifesting? What are you creating? And it has to come from your heart. It has to come from your pure joy in life. And it happens every year. And a lot of people don't talk about the portal that leads to the gateway because there's a portal. There's a literally this kind of echo trajectory energy that leads to this alignment, and it starts on July 26th, which is an 8.
Yeah.
It's all about the eights, infinity. It's all about abundance, the continuum,
Yeah.
circulatory energy, circulating energy. And I became aware of this gateway probably starting in about 2011. It was brought to my attention by multiple sources. And I said, okay, well, then this probably makes sense as to why I always feel so powerful at this time of year. And there's always a full moon right before it, which we're in the full moon today. And I always I notice that whatever it has been happening in my life, where there is a big lesson for me in learning how to be true to myself, it has a tendency to kind of apex and then starts to fade. Just as I'm in the portal towards the 8-8 gateway, which is what's happening now with a business that I'm in. It's just coming to an apex and it's beginning to move off.
Yeah.
If there's a relationship, it usually comes to a big apex. And if it's not serving your greatest self-love, it will move off. For me, that's personally what happens for me. And of course, my Jupiter is in Leo.
Yeah.
So that's all about my expression. And Jupiter is so big. And this gateway is so big. So I always really am as aware at this time of the year as possible. I force myself to slow down. Used to be a challenge to slow down, not anymore. To really slow down, breathe, and really look around myself. Really look around. Really see who's in my life and what they're mirroring back to me. Really look at my finances, because this is also about financial flow and currency. Look at my finances. Look at who's coming in, who's going out, and who's coming in. Because those are okay, I learned from those mirrors, and then they go out. Now, the thing that is always challenging for me every year, and I'm experiencing it now, and it's cropping up for the last 2 days. And at first I knew it had to do with the business that I'm ending with this group of people and moving out of. But then all of a sudden this morning in my meditation, I heard, "You're in the Lionsgate portal." And I was like, oh. Of course I am. And every year when this happens, my ego comes in and is very bothered. And it's quieter now. It's very bothered of the change.
Got you.
My ego wants everything to be labeled and structured. My ego wants, it's like my ego is saying, okay, but that business is ending and things are waning right now. And what are we going to do? And we can't keep doing what we're doing because we're this, or we have this important title, or we have this important label. And it's literally for me just sitting with this feeling that comes from, and I literally have to locate it in my body when it happens. It's coming from more of the right side of my head. It comes down, it sits in my throat, and it's so egoic because it wants to cry for attention. It's like, for attention.
Yeah.
And then it starts to come a little bit down into the right side of my body. And it's like the left side of my body just says to it, just relax and breathe. We're in the unknown. And then it's like, we're in the unknown.
Yeah.
And I find that the Lionsgate portal leading up to the gateway always brings me, it mirrors to me this unknown. And I didn't realize it until I just said that now. It's actually an opportunity for me to recognize how much energy I'm giving to the ego still.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, how much energy I'm giving to the ego still, where the ego says, I don't know what's next. I thought we knew what was happening. Mm-hmm. I thought we knew our work. I thought we knew our title, our labels. And now I'm unsure. And I don't know what's coming in. And then I feel this energy coming in, and it's very much through a feeling and a knowing. And it says, be open to receive all the doorways and the synchronicities.
Yeah.
Just be open. And then it like shows me that I'm standing like in the middle of the road, and there's this plethora of pathways.
Yeah.
That's what I saw this morning in my meditation. This plethora of pathways.
Yeah.
And my ego doesn't like that.
The ego wants a story that is very predictable. The ego wants a story that has a beginning and an ending. The ego wants one path, and there wants considerable growth to occur from that path, and it wants the growth to be trackable, and it wants you to be able to be like, I started here and now I'm here, and look how good I've done.
And I have results to show for it.
Exactly. Yep.
It's a very Moon and Capricorn thing.
However, I find that life really is, your path splits into so many different opportunities. It's more than the ego can grasp. The ego is, sometimes it's the easiest way to visualize it is to see there being all this plethora of opportunities, and the way that the ego recognizes that plethora of opportunities, it sees, oh, there's a lot of things I could start. But in reality, you've actually been traveling on the path for a very, very long time, and all of those opportunities, all those things are things that you could do that don't have a start and a finish. They just are things that you could do that bring greater fulfillment to the greater path, which is just the existence of being here itself.
That's what I always come back to. It's that whole, it's and this is an analogy that I'm not really thrilled with, but everybody knows it. The chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
It brings you back. The egg is really it's the cell, it's the source. Mm-hmm. And the chicken is the result.
Yeah.
And then it's like it just keeps bringing you. So my mind this morning was going through, like I think I was kind of like recalling some psychedelic experiences with some out-of-body experiences with a couple of the near-death experiences, which I find them all to be similar, as we've talked about so many times. And my mind was kind of going back to that origin of, okay, well, now what? Well, now we're here. Now we're present. Mm-hmm. But what do? We're being here. But there's got to be more to this. But there is more to this. It's coming. It's here. It's now. It's present. The mind gets bored. The ego gets just bored. And it was the very blatant observation of that for me this morning of, okay, there are some things that are ending, and actually there's a couple of potential new things that have come in as well. And then all of a sudden it was like, I felt it coming right through my heart. Oh, we're in the Lionsgate portal.
Yeah.
And then it was the realization of, oh, wait a minute, this happens every year at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what's this showing me about myself now?
Yeah, that's so interesting actually that you say this. I've had somewhat similar transition that I have really felt occur, and especially at the beginning of Leo around July 26th is when I started to see this start to come in, or really when it started to solidify itself.
Well, because you were talking to me about the musician title.
Well, I think
that was coming
in
what
it comes down to is that I'm just letting go of being a musician.
Yeah, because again, but it's like we talked about in the car when we were driving last week. It's the title of it.
Well, it is the title.
It's the expectation of it.
Obviously, music is always going to be a thing, but to be very honest, I have no desire to make music or play music aside from maybe just like strumming around on my guitar a little bit. And I've really felt that it's been over the course of the past couple months that has really like been a thing. And at the very beginning of that transition, I fought it really, really hard. And well, not really hard, I guess. I've fought it really hard for longer than that. I fought it for over the course of a year.
Fighting it for a while.
Couple of years, and then it was like I became aware that this was just a trend that I don't feel fulfillment from creating music really. And then that literally was like a couple months ago that I just was like, oh, maybe this is like actually not for me. Like maybe I've never really thought about that. Like let me see how that sits. And then that turned into, well, let me like just maybe stop making music for a little while and let me see how that feels. And then that turned into, well, actually making music is bringing me a lot of suffering. It's not actually bringing me a lot of like joy right now. So maybe I should put that down. And then that turned into, yeah, maybe music is like not really a path that I need to be pursuing anymore. Okay, what do I get fulfillment from? And then it's like, literally on the 26th, it was like, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Like I'm comfortable not like making music because I don't feel it's different from before. Like whenever I would go through a cycle of creating music or not creating music before, there would always be this sense of piece of me missing or like an unease when I was not creating. And then when I would make the music, it would be a sense of fulfillment and a sense of like really an extreme high. I would get very, very high from making music. Over time, that started to shift and it became less and less frequent that music would come out of me. And now it's kind of at a period where it's like I put it down sort of expecting there to be like some desire, something to occur in me to bring it out, and it hasn't come out. And it's not that it just hasn't, it's not that it's stuck or repressed, it's not there. There's no desire to make music. Part of it is that I've really rid myself of desire. I don't have desire. I don't desire things. And through my experience with the car, through my experience with music, through my experience with what it is that I have right now, my experience working the jobs that I have, all of this brought me to a state I don't have desire. And when desire does pop up, when it emerges anew, my recognition of that desire diminishes it instantly, which I've never experienced before. And so I've accepted that, and my acceptance of that has brought me into this immense state of calm and an understanding that fulfillment for me comes from a very different place. Not exactly where I thought it would come from. I am no longer seeking to fulfill from myself. I'm no longer seeking to fulfill myself. I'm no longer seeking to fulfill my ego. I no longer have a desire to look a certain way or act a certain way or be a certain way. I no longer have a desire to do certain things in order to bring me into a higher state of societal recognition. I don't care about any of that. What I do care about is how can I help people? And I really want to build strong relationships with people in my life because I really love people. And I feel really, really good. I feel really good when I help people. My state of flow comes from helping people. Which is so interesting because so much of the world seems, a lot of what I believed before was that I would have to pursue myself and fulfill myself in order to grow up and in order to become the person that I wanted to be. But really, the person that I want to be is just there for other people because that feels right. It feels good. It's just I've never been ready or willing to accept that. And now that I am accepting that, it's like this big open, just this open space in front of me. It just says, you have now all of these, there's all this like expansive opportunity. And it's not that I feel like I have a need to do things. It's more like, well, I guess I'm just kind of waiting. The ego's a little uncomfortable with that, but it not even nearly as uncomfortable as like I couldn't have even brought that up to myself a while back. I always felt like I had to be doing something. I always felt like there was something that I had to achieve, had to be on a path so that I looked like I was doing something, so that people wouldn't think that I was just being lazy and sloughing off and not doing anything with my life. I don't care about any of that anymore. This doesn't matter. And yeah, I guess I'm just here.
Cutie. I'm having one of those mommy moments. I'm feeling like, Mommy loves you. You're so cute. I always love your tears. You know that. Your emotion's so beautiful. That is exactly the conclusion that I came to a long time ago. Long time ago. When I got pregnant with you in 1996, right before my 28th birthday, I had a professional performing career in Hollywood, as you know. I had met your father. And it was like my entire focus from the time I was like born, because it was a leftover from the previous lifetime. I cannot tell you how relieved I was to walk away from acting. Acting was so much work for me. It was so hard. It gave me zero fulfillment to act. Drama, comedy. It wasn't that I was bad at it. I wouldn't say I was brilliant at it. I mean, I did pretty well. But it was so much work. And the people around me weren't fulfilled either. It was all coming from the ego's want for fame and fortune.
Yeah.
I had the same thing. And I realized that that was the wrong reason for being in the entertainment industry. Because universe was showing me, this is not your path. Singing and dancing has always been my passion. But I found that sharing, singing, and dancing with others wasn't necessary for me in order to express that part of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I sang for myself because I loved it, and I sang for you children because I loved it.
Yeah.
I will sing for anyone in order to help them to feel emotional if they want to, or to bring them joy, or to soothe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really good with singing with children. It's very soothing. It's very comforting. And it's such a Mercury and Cancer thing too. But I don't anymore need to sing as a career. And when I did sing as a career, and I actually did better singing in my career than I did acting in my career, I found that I really loved it, but it was a lot of work. And I noticed that I would get really tired. And that's always a sign. If what you're doing is depleting your energy, then it's not your path.
Yeah.
Dance, however, never did that.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt fulfilled. I loved performing in dance. I loved dancing in front of everybody. And so even after you kids were born, I continued on that path of dancing.
Yeah.
I didn't sing publicly anymore, but I did dance. And I danced publicly, and I had my last performance, as you know, when Kyan was a preschooler.
Yeah.
In Portland. And that was when it was like, I wanted to do that, and I knew it would be the last one, so that performance-wise, just so that I could just fulfill myself. And I did it totally for me. I also realized that I was at an age, and I'd had a lot of pregnancies and a lot of babies, that my body just couldn't do it anymore. And so I said, it's been a good run.
Yeah.
And I was very fulfilled. And I already had a daily yoga practice, and I was already starting to teach yoga. So I knew that my movement focus would be on yoga and Pilates and things that were going to continue to maintain my body. And it was also had a creative outlet. I sing all the time. I channel light language. It's very fulfilling. It's very satisfying. It's for myself. And I will do it. I mean, I channel light language for my sessions because it's channeling codes and it helps people.
Yeah.
I moved away from the business with this group that I've been in because I was in it to serve. I was in it to help people to heal themselves and to be as conscious as possible. And the group of people that I was in business with did not have that intention, despite what they were telling me. And that's why the business has not gotten into a space where we can serve.
Right.
That's all I want to do. And throughout my life, that's what's been shown to me. Bring community together. Mm-hmm. Collect humans who have a similar frequency, or those that would like to raise their frequency within themselves, as my frequency is raising in my ear right now. My left ear is buzzing. Bring people together and do beautiful things together. Mm-hmm. Support each other, because that's what you're here for. That's what matters in life. That's one of the reasons why you and your brother and I moved in together, is for this. I mean, we did this consciously. We set intention. Yes, we're a family, but we're in community with each other. And that's all that I want to focus on. That's all that I care about. And I'm not doing that right now. And that's what my heart is feeling like. Okay, Source, when are you aligning this? Because I've taken the steps to align this, but I'm not in that space with these people yet. And I always get that feeling of, oh, just wait and keep your heart open. It's all aligning. Mm-hmm. So that's the space that, from our talk here now, I'm like letting my ego know it's not the unknown. We're just actually in the space of waiting for it all to align.
Yeah.
Because for me, serving others in order for them to heal themselves, to empower themselves by being that mirror to them and saying, hey, here are the tools that I use to do that. Maybe some of this will help you.
Yeah.
Here's how I do it. Would you like me to, assist you with this? Really, that's what I'm doing as a healer.
Yeah.
I heal myself. Here are the tools that I use. There's a lot of other people who use these tools as well. Would you like some assistance with this?
Yeah.
Maybe I can guide you along the way until you're strong enough to take over for yourself and figure out what works for you and what doesn't, and what I just shared with you. And that's the only fulfilling work for me. When I give quantum healing sessions, I feel so present in the moment, so grounded, so here. I have so much energy. I don't need to eat. I don't need to drink. I'm annoyed that I have to go to the bathroom. And then I'm like, oh my God, I've got them under the deepest point of hypnosis. Why? There's no time right now. I'm not even in the body. I'm remote viewing right now. I get angry with my body when that happens because I'm like, we're doing it. We're doing our work.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when I feel fulfilled. Teaching yoga.
Yeah.
There's no time. I don't need a label for any of that. And I don't necessarily have to give those sessions in order to feel fulfilled. Although I'd love to give those sessions and those yoga classes and workshops in order to feel fulfilled. But I'm really letting universe know that I'm open now to receive the next big step, which is actual physical gathering of people on physical land and taking the steps to build physical, greenhouses and really physically planting the seeds with people and co-creating with people and creating intentions and guidelines for the community of, all right, we still have an ego and there's going to be issues, because that's something we didn't do with this business group that I was with. We did set intention, but we didn't talk about what happens when everybody's ego comes up. But that's how most of them started in it. And I came in observing and saying, and I was asked to come in with this. I came in saying, I'm here to teach, do my healing work, and serve. How can I support you all to your best ability to do this with me? And they just really weren't getting that. Mm-hmm. It was so much me, my, mine. This is me. This is mine, mine, mine. And I was so surprised. It was so abrupt. I was just like, oh, wait a minute. This is literally a healing modality that's meant to help people. Are you kidding me? This is not, and so I waited for some realization of that. And there were a few people in the group that did realize that and were stepping back. Like, wait a minute, this is not what I wanted it to be either. It's like that contrast of universe saying, now you really see this. Now you're very clear on what it is you're focused on. Healthy community, physical community, because I already have an online community. But we're here to be physical. We're here to be human and physical together. And that is what I'm ready for. That is what I intend. That is what is fulfilling. That's like the juice in life. When I feel that, I'm like, and for you, when you're with people, when we finally get into this community, all that creative music is going to come flowing for you. You're just going to take out the guitar, if we have a fire pit at night and, do the fire. As the sun is down, it's just going to come out. There's going to be other people in the community that will also be playing music. It's all going to come out for you. It'll all come out. It's all there. It's not that you have to be a musician. You are a musician. It's just your natural state of being. It's just naturally who you are. You don't have to try at it. This is what I learned as a performer. I mean, obviously, look, my energy is so theatrical and dramatic. My personality is so loud and over the top. It's just my natural state of being to be entertaining for people. It's the same for you. You just do it in your own way.
That's true.
Thank you so much to everyone who listened to this week's episode of the podcast. Feel free to check us out on Instagram at One Long Conversation to get some updates on our future episodes, our future content. You can also follow us on Patreon and become a member. We have a lot of interesting and awesome perks and cool ways to connect with us and our community that we're forming there. So go over to Patreon at One Long Conversation, and you'll find us there. We also have these episodes going out on YouTube now. So if you go to YouTube, yet again, at One Long Conversation, you will find video versions of these episodes. So yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.